My name's Mike Vieira, and this video is about PTSD. The reason I'm shooting this video is that I was recently diagnosed, sort of working through how I feel about that. I'm glad to be getting treatment. I guess I'm sad and disappointed that it appears to be true. And a new friend of mine that I made recently from the surround sound world suggested an idea about showing how to use Audacity. And that's not what this video is about, though I am going to use Audacity as an example. Because recently in my treatment, we were going through the education phase. What is PTSD? And among other things, the way it was described sort of on a whiteboard was as a series of peaks and valleys and various heights and like headroom, wiggle room, so to speak, that you may have emotionally under normal circumstances. But then sometimes you start topping out and your emotions have nowhere to go. But anyway, just thinking back on that graphic representation, it reminded me of what a song looks like if you look at it in waveform view. So I thought, you know what? I work with music a lot. I've actually recorded a couple of albums, and I've worked with Audacity a lot and other audio editing tools. And I thought, it could be fun, it could be helpful, it could be useful to kind of demonstrate this idea. And I'm going to use one of my own songs. It's called Break You. And although it's not about PTSD, in some ways I think it's rather fitting. For those not familiar, I am a U.S. Army vet. I've been on 2 deployments, one to Kuwait and the most recent to Afghanistan and various points in the Middle East, including Kuwait, which, although not an altogether dangerous place, did almost kill me because of E. coli, and just sucks so bad you really do wish that you were anywhere else, even someplace dangerous. Regarding my experiences overseas that are probably contributing to this condition, I'll just say that I have been out on dangerous missions and have experienced quite a few moments that felt life-threatening, and to a certain extent surely were life-threatening, though I'm obviously here, I'm fine. I think that's about all I want to say on that subject right now. I'm not exactly sure when my symptoms appeared, but I've been home for around 6 months, and I've had symptoms for most of that time. Maybe all of that time, but at least most of that time. I've experienced uncontrollable anger at times, and sudden, random seeming episodes of tears and just getting choked up, unable to speak for quite a while sometimes. A minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I had a symptom-free day most of the day today, but didn't quite make it. And hope I can hold it together for this video, but I feel pretty lousy. And I'm not altogether sure exactly what my triggers are. Well, since during treatment I'm actually trying to identify what my triggers are, why don't I just give you some examples? This list is by no means exhaustive. It's just my first attempt today to start to journal about this. In January, I experienced uncontrollable rage and anger when my son dashed toward my stereo gear and started pushing buttons. I don't want to make a pushing buttons joke, but, there you go. I've been in the Army a long time, and I've been married a long time, and never wanting to even take a chance of hurting my son, and also not wanting him to be around me when I'm angry. At that time, I chose to just shout at her very vehemently that she needed to remove our son from the room, and she did. She got him out of there right away, and I'm grateful for that. I don't want him to see these episodes. In January also, I was given an award to a wonderful woman at work for doing a very kind thing for me while I was overseas. And I broke down in tears, embarrassed, unable to speak for a while. Caused her a lot of concern. Sure sorry about that. Randomly from January to present, I'll be driving my car just thinking about whatever. I haven't been able to string any certain kinds of thoughts together. But I'll be overcome with strong emotion, weepy, choked up. Again, from around January, I think, to May, to present. Playing with, reading to, or just enjoying my son in various ways, watching him sleep. Overcome, choked up, tearful. February, a coworker asked how I was doing randomly, just walking by. Fellow vet. I wasn't doing so well, and he said something like, you're not looking so good. And I couldn't really talk to him. I just was choked up, and I just walked on. I know I must have looked pretty torn up. I think he chose the path of just kind of leaving me alone, and that was cool. I went to my office and closed the door and tried to get some work done, but just had a pretty miserable several hours and certainly didn't want to be around anybody. See, March, on a ski lift with my buddy, I think it was March, just talking about life, got super choked up, and he's a very understanding dude, so I appreciate that. He's been through some stuff, so sometimes things come full circle. April, May, got a surprise email at work about this tuition reimbursement situation, a misunderstanding, and it just totally set me off. It hit all kinds of triggers, and there were many messages involved. Let's see, what do I say I felt during that? Frustration, helplessness, anger, desperation. Why are they trying to prove something that seems pointless? Why don't they believe me? Why can't I explain myself better? Why am I trying to explain something that's pointless? Let me see. Just the other day, I was relaxing at a winery. Got hit in the side of the head with a kid's soft play ball, like like a ball inside of a piece of fabric, just for kids to throw around, and it had, the fabric streams behind it. I felt anger, frustration, annoyance, and I felt edgy for like the rest of the day. And today, trying to shop for a Mother's Day card for my wife, just started tearing up, choked up. I felt embarrassed. Not sure what else I felt. I guess we're trying to get to the cause of these things. Like, what was I thinking? I don't know. I love my wife. I am grateful that we've been married almost 20 years, that she's put up with a bunch of garbage through some long years in the military, the time away from home, missing Mother's Days, missing anniversaries, missing birthdays, has to, or maybe has something to do with it. Took us a long time to have our kid, so, Mother's Day and Father's Day, packs its own punch, regardless of military stuff. So anyway, that's kind of a incomplete list of some of the things that have been triggering me. And hopefully journaling about it will help us figure some things out and get me along the path of healing. So I registered for benefits at the VA shortly after coming home from deployment for the purpose of beginning to document injuries. I have a hurt foot, I have a hurt back, I have a hurt hip, I have a hurt hand, hearing loss, concerns over burn pits, and other stuff that I'm just not thinking of right now. I have made a list. As a returning combat vet, you get 5 years of free care for anything that is even remotely possibly service connected. And, while getting that care, you're automatically getting documentation for stuff that may be very important to your family's financial well-being and your health later on down the road. Possibly super expensive medical issues, for instance. If you need surgery or whatever, medication. So going to my appointment to just kind of get my physical to get checked out, I saw, around half a dozen staff members, medical professionals, admins, and I broke down in front of each and every one of them. The VA doesn't force anything on you, but it was very diligently urged that I consider the services of the mental health professionals. And I did have a consultation isn't the right word, but I sat with someone who explained what those benefits could be, and I set up a consultation. So I guess I sat with my Operation Enduring Freedom social worker. So I'm in treatment now, and phase 1 was education. And like I said, during that education, I saw this graph of what PTSD is like. So PTSD can be said in other words: after shock, anxiety, problem. So after you go through a shock, you are in this situation where you may kind of run out of emotional capacity, and you get into these situations where you're unable to process emotions like you normally would. and I've been manifesting anger and tears. And if I understand correctly, there are at least half a dozen different kinds of ways that your emotions can be affected. And I'm not explaining things very well. I'm not a medical professional. I'm just kind of giving you what I remember and what I took away. But let's look at the song Break You now. Here we have a normal passage.
Don't wanna talk about it.
Plenty of headroom. Those dips and valleys could be looked at the highs and lows of emotions. And you have plenty of ability to kind of work with both. You're well within the boundaries. Uh-oh, now you're in kind of a rough patch, and you see that emotions have intensified.
Trapped behind my eyes. There's so much hidden deep inside of me. Things that I despise, and things that I wish you could see. And the fight is endless.
You're going to top out occasionally, but not very long, and it looks like things are easily able to be dealt with. This is still normal. Uh-oh, now we've hit that red patch. In music, we call that clipping. PTSD, that means that you kind of have had it. Your emotions have nowhere to go, and it's tough to impossible to function when your emotions are like that. For me, so far that's been anywhere from a moment to several hours, several days, just being on edge, not being myself. Treatment is supposed to try to get you down back again into that white patch.
Hide inside this, the sins you can't conceal, and the trials that make you on you wander, lost in all the love and brokenness.
Maybe you're not entirely back to normal, but you have that headroom again. Treatment is designed to bring your baseline back down to where you can function. And maybe you do hit patches where you've had it, but they're not as long, they're not as intense. And eventually, maybe you can ride it out and get back into, a pattern of life where you're in control all the time. Now, before we leave this music example, because I'm the life and surround guy, here's Break You in 5.1. This is where it really shines. So I'm going to make a pitch. If you are not into surround music, I do recommend it. At least if you have a system at home for watching movies or whatever, you may have a favorite album out there in surround. So now we're in the process of trying to identify triggers, and then we'll work on coping. We've already preliminarily discussed coping. Coping's very important. I'm fortunate that I have a very loving family, super cool friends. I work at a place that is really pro-military and so far has been extremely supportive and understanding. But I don't want this condition, my symptoms, to interfere with my work life. I want to be productive. I want to be a leader. And I certainly don't want this condition to adversely affect my home life. I'm a new dad, and I want to be a good dad. So why did I make this video? I hope to heal. I'm sick of this. I'm really, really tired of this. And I've thought so many times over the last 6 months or so that maybe that was the last one, and I just got to get this out of my system. And it's ebbed and flowed, but it seems like it isn't going to go away if I don't deal with it. So I think that talking about it can help. I'm hoping to raise awareness. I don't think that enough people talk about this. Even a guy at work who is ex-Army and ought to know better has said some incredibly cruel things. Mike's a real water fountain or whatever. Like I choose to be. So I think raising awareness, people talking about it more, can be a very good thing. I hope so. Some people out there do need better understanding, to be more understanding. And I'm hoping to help others. If you're watching this and you don't feel like you can talk about the possibility of having PTSD, or if you are diagnosed, you can talk to me. Drop me a line. I will talk to you anytime. If you're a U.S. soldier and you've served in combat and you are within 5 years of the end of your orders, you can get free care. If you are beyond the 5 years of those orders, you can get super cheap care at least. And I'm only addressing U.S. soldiers because I don't know other people's benefits. If you are a veteran of another country, or if you have sustained trauma just some other completely different way, I just don't know your benefits. But I'll talk to you too. And I encourage you, no matter how, to go get help. I'm incredibly grateful that I have. I'm tired of this. I firmly believe that it's not something that I can just get over. I think that would have happened by now. And if I can help even one person out there choose to go get some help, then this will have been worth it. And with that, I just wish you well, and please feel free to contact me, leave a comment. I'm not sure if there's a way to privately get a hold of me, but I'm also on the Life and Surround channel. I have a Facebook called Life and Surround. I'm Mike Vieira, and I'm also on Facebook, so there are ways to get a hold of me. And in the meantime, hang in there and don't let them break you.